Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 22. Yadvecha labha santushto dvandvatito vimatsara samasiddha asiddhyo cha kritvapi na nibadhyate.
He who is satisfied with gain, which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady both in success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions.
Text 23. Gata sangasya muktasya jnanavasthita chetasa yagnaya charata karma samaram.
The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence.
24. Brahmarpan brahmavi brahmagno brahmanahutam brahmeva tena gantavyam brahma karma samadhina.
A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute, and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature.
Text 25. Devam eva pare yagnam yogina paryupasate brahma
Them, and some offer sacrifices in the fire of this supreme
Text
Brahman.
26. Shrotadin indriyani anne samyam agni shujuvati shabdadin vishyan anya indragni shujuvati.
Some, the unadulterated brahmacharis, sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control, and others, the regulated householders, sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses.
Text 27. Sarva indriya karmani prana karmani chapare atma sayama yogagnyo juvati jnana dipite.
Others, who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses, offer the functions of all the senses and of the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind.
Text 28. Dravya yagnas tapo yagna yoga yagnas tatha pare swadhyaya jnana yagnas cha yatya sanshitavra.
Having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened by sacrificing their possessions, and others by eightfold mysticism, or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge.
Apan juvati pranam prane panam tatha pare pranapana gati rudhva pranayama parayana aprenyatahara.
Still others, who are inclined to the process of breath restraint to remain in trance, practice by offering the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming, and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Others, curtailing the eating process, offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice.
Text 30. Sarve api ete yagna vido yagna shapita kalmasha yagna shishta mrita bhujo yanti brahma sanatanam.
All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reactions, and having tested the nectar of the results of sacrifice, they advance towards the supreme eternal atmosphere.
Text 31. Nayam loko asti ayagyasya kuto anya kuru sattama.
O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice, one can never live happily on this planet or in this.
Text 32. Evam bahu vidha yagna pitat brahmano mukhe karma jan viditan sarvan evam gyatva vimokshase.
All these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work.
Text 33. Shreyan dravyamyad yagna jnana yagna parantapa sarvam karma khilam partha jnane parisamapyate.
O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pritha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge.
Text 34. Tadvidhi pranipatena prashnena sevaya updekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina.
Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth.
Text 35. Yat gyatva na punarmoham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutani asheshani drakshyasi atmani athomai.
Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine.
Text 36. Api chedasi papebhya sarvebhya papakrittama sarvam jnana plaveneva vijinim santarishyasi.
Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries.
Text 37. Yathedansi samidho agne bhasma sat kurute arjuna jnanagni sarvakarmani bhasma sat kurute tatha.
As a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities.
Text 38. Nahi jnane na sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate tat swayam yoga samsiddha kalena atmani vindati.
In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time.
Text 39. Shraddhava labhate jnanam tatpara samyatendriya jnanam labdhva param shantim achirena adhigacchati.
A faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge. And having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace.
Text 40. Agnascha shraddhanascha sanchayatma vinashyati nayam loko asti na paro na sukham sanchayatmana.
But ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next.
Text 41. Yoga sanyasata karmanam jnana sanchina sanshayam atmavantam na karmani nibandhananti dhananjaya.
One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his actions, and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus, he is not bound by the reactions of work or conqueror of riches.
Text 42. Tasmad jnana sambhutam hitstham jnana sin atmana chitvena sanchayam yogam uttishta bharata.
Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. Hare Krishna.
Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Supanishatsu Brahma Vidyaya Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjun Samvade Jnana Karma Sannyas Yogo Nama Chaturtho Adhyaya. Hare Krishna, all the devotees. My humble obeisances to you. Please forgive my mistakes. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you very much for the beautiful recitation. It's always very nice, very auspicious to hear. Is now the time that we can do the presentation?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So let me just list the verse. So it was 331, correct? I think it was this one.
431?
431, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting because this is just a half verse. It's not the usual typical verse that we have. It's just a half verse. Okay. Nayam lokosti ayajnasya putonya kurusattama. O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice, one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next? That's a very Sankirtan oriented verse, I would say. Recently, for last few weeks, most of my time was kind of directed towards preparing mentally, physically, logistically for book distribution. So I will try here also to kind of make a bit of a bridge towards maybe hopefully inspiring you to take Sankirtan somehow on board or book distribution.
Antaranga.
So again, I would like to request the dear Vaishnavas to maybe mute themselves. Otherwise, I can do it like this. I can do it manually.
Prabhuji, we can't hear you.
Okay, sorry. I was speaking for a few minutes, just like that. Who this morning had a chance to see present Bhagavatam class? Did you devotees have the chance to hear this morning Bhagavatam class?
No, Prabhuji.
No. So let me give you a choice now. We can kind of connect this verse with the theme and the topic of our this year's winter marathon. So what would you like to hear? Proportionately, can I present the theme or the presentation for the winter marathon, and obviously put the verse, incorporate the verse into it, or should I just stick to the Bhagavad Gita verse? What do devotees think?
Both would be better, Prabhuji.
Both would be better. Okay. So I will go quickly, or we will go through the Bhagavad Gita verse, and then in the end, I will. Am I a host now? Can I also share screen? Okay, I can. So then in the end, we can also do a bit of a quick presentation for the winter marathon. So let's read through Prabhupada purport. Whatever form of material existence one is invariably ignorant of his real situation. In other words, existence in the material world is due to the multiple reactions of our sinful lives. Ignorance is the cause of sinful life, and sinful life is the cause of one's dragging on in material existence. So this is a very interesting point. Prabhupada is saying that in our society, in our generation, or in our perspective of the human life, people think that being in this sort of human form of life, it is a win situation, but it's also not a win situation. Depends how you look at it. So Prabhupada writes, ignorance is the cause of sinful life, and sinful life is the cause of one's dragging on a material existence, which means that when we are here in this material existence, one way or another, we failed. We failed basically to finish this life and just go back to Godhead. The human form of life is only loophole by which one may get out of this material entanglement. And this is interesting. Recently, we had a big discussion in the ashram, and one devotee was sharing a presentation about the heavenly, the celestial regions, or basically the realms of the demigods and also the realms of the asuras. So I don't know if you know, but the Bhurloka system, or the planets, the median planets, are the only planetary systems where you can actually accumulate karma. Is the only system or only region when you accumulate good and bad activities. The celestial region and the lower region are places where you burn karma, either good or bad, but you're basically burning them. But only in the middle planetary system is the place where you accumulate karma, and that will actually determine if you go into the regions of demigods or into the regions of demons. So this is interesting. It is said it's the only loophole by which you can get out of this place. So one way or another, the human form of life is the best form to take birth in, because it gives you opportunity not to elevate or degrade yourself, but rather to completely free yourself. The Vedas therefore give us a chance for escape by pointing out, the paths of religion, economic comfort, regulated sense gratification, at last, the means to get out of the miserable condition entirely. So in Sanskrit, right, this is dharma, artha, kama, and then Prabhupada translated moksha as getting yourself out from this miserable condition completely. So in the Vedic dictionary, or in the basic understanding, moksha means basically getting free yourself, getting just out of this material existence. So different concepts of religion, or different dharmic philosophies, has a different viewpoint on this term moksha. For those which are Mayavadis, you can also definitely hear them many times using this term moksha, right? Moksha this, moksha that. But their concept of moksha, or basically just finishing this body and entering into Brahman, is not accepted by the Vaishnavas. Or in other words, moksha for a devotee is actually hell. The concept that Mayavadis held is hell for a devotee. True liberation for a devotee means pure, unalloyed, uncontaminated way to engage in loving service with Krishna. That's true moksha. That's true liberation. That means this material body is not anymore an obstacle in creating very good conditions for devotional service. Continuing with the purport. The path of religion, or the different kinds of sacrifice recommended above, automatically solves our economic problems. By performance of yajna, we can have enough food, enough milk, etc. Even if there is a so-called increase of population, when the body is fully supplied, naturally the next stage is to satisfy the senses. The Vedas prescribe therefore sacred marriage for regulated sense gratification. Thereby one is gradually elevated to the platform of release from material bondage, and the perfection is achieved by performance of yajna, sacrifice, as described above. Now, if a person is not inclined to perform yajna according to the Vedas, how can he accept a happy life even in this body? And what to speak of another body on another planet? There are different grades of material comfort in different heavenly planets, and in all cases, there is immense happiness for a person engaged in different kinds of yajna. But the highest kind of happiness that a man can achieve is to be promoted to the spiritual planets by practice of Krishna to all the Prabhupada. And let's go through these points one by one. So one thing which is very interesting here is how many of you heard about this Maslow hierarchy needs? I think he was Russian. Was he Russian? I don't know on the Zoom. Hands up who ever heard about Maslow's pyramid or hierarchy of needs. So okay. So if you desire to go higher, first of all, you need to be facilitated. Your physical needs need to be facilitated. That's what anamoy means. Anamoy means that you have food, you have shelter, you have water. Then you have gyanamoy. Gyanamoy means some philosophical understanding, some cultivation of the senses, some understanding of a bigger picture, having knowledge, having understanding, and somehow be gratified from the level of the mind. Then you have Vijnanamoy. So Vijnanamoy is a stage where not only knowledge comes to place, but also realized knowledge. To a certain degree, you start realizing that you, Aham Brahmasmi, I'm not the body, I'm rather a spiritual entity, I'm a soul. And then the last stage is Anandamoy. So Maslow, Anandamoy means basically full of bliss, full of understanding of Krishna, having personal relationship with the Supreme Lord, basically Ananda, being in bliss. So Maslow presented this hierarchy of need, this pyramid, in a similar fashion, right? On the bottom, we have the basic human survival needs, right? Water, food. Then you have the need of shelter. Then you have need of having some kind of a social interactions, family, friends, and having some kind of a philosophical gratification. Later on, you have some ideas, understanding higher topics which kind of extend themselves beyond this realm of beyond this material realm. And then you have on the pinnacle, on the top of the pyramid, you have the self-actualization, true understanding of the nature of the soul and who you are. So I believe that either somewhere or another, it's very natural for people to go through these stages. Oh, Maslow just got it from the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know. But it's a very far out concept. We used to study this in psychology. So basically, what does it mean for us or for devotees? It means that we should implement with great wisdom to every single stage, Annamoy, I haven't said Annamoy, Pranamoy, Gyanamoy, Vijnanamoy, and Anandamoy. So to every single stage which I presented just now, we should implement Krishna. So how do you implement Krishna in the first stage, Annamoy? Can anyone tell me? Hands up. Who was listening? Rasalila?
Offering prasadam to Krishna.
That's it. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Yes, Anna means getting that food, offering to the Supreme Lord, and distribute it to others. Then there is another stage which I haven't mentioned to you, is Pranamoy. Prana in general means like a life, or it's connected to the life air within the body of individuals, and means understanding your individuality and kind of discriminating between living and not living, between yourself and others. So how would you introduce again Krishna consciousness to the stage of Pranamoy? Come on.
Prabhuji, do you mind explaining Pranamoy again one more time? Thank you.
Okay, so Pranamoy basically is such a stage where you start understanding, you come to to such a level of consciousness that you can differentiate between yourself and others. You can differentiate between my body and body of others. You can differentiate between living and not living, basically dead and alive. So this stage of Pranamoy requires that level of consciousness which you can actually start interacting with the society. So on the level of Pranamoy, what you can implement Krishna, this is a tough one. On the level of Pranamoy, the way you can implement Krishna consciousness is to, for instance, bringing that philosophy that there's a difference between matter and spirit. Simultaneously, the level of Jnanamoy is much more elaborated. So let's just kind of skip this level of Pranamoy, but let's go to the level of Jnanamoy. How would you present Krishna consciousness to the level of Jnanamoy, or basically to the level of knowledge, to the level of spiritual and philosophical saturation? This is a simple one.
It's Prabhuji, it's like material knowledge and spiritual knowledge.
Yes,
Different.
Ishopanishad very beautifully.
Book distribution.
Sorry?
Book distribution. Prabhu.
Haribo, perfect. Yes, that's what I wanted to hear. Book distribution, for instance, right? You presenting not only basic knowledge, material knowledge, but you're helping people to understand that within this material body there's something different, something spiritual. So Sri Ishopanishad says that on the same level is actually, this is interesting. Science and the science need to be both very nicely understood. And these two information and knowledge, which comes from the science and the science, or spirituality and material knowledge, can be very nicely utilized, and this utilization will actually get you back to Godhead. So for instance, right, you need to know how to turn on gas if you want to cook for Krishna. You need to know how to create a fire if you want to cook for Krishna. You need to know how to drive a car if you want to go for, to a temple or for a program. You need to know how to build a temple. You need to know how to, mix cement and bricks so you can build a temple for Krishna. So this is material science, seemingly, but utilizing it for spiritual activities. So that's why on the equal level, it's very important to understand the so-called science and science. This is all spoken in Sri Ishopanishad. So that's the Jnanamoy. Now the Vijnanamoy, the realization. Now this is very clear because all the spiritual books, right? Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedas Sarvam Aham Eva Vedya Vedanta Krit Veda Vid Eva Chaham. All the knowledge culminates in me, and I'm the source of all knowledge, and by all knowledge I could be understood. So Vijnana means that you actually truly start grasping the concept of differentiation, which means I'm not body, I'm a soul. And this is very direct, understood through the books like Srimad Bhagavatam and like Bhagavad Gita, but not only on the philosophical level anymore, like on the stage of Jnanamoy, but rather more on the practical level, which means if I give you a cookbook and you can memorize it from beginning to an end, what's the use of it? You know it, you know all the chants, you know how to, what's the timing, how to make baturas, how to make kachoris, how to make this subject, that subject, but what's the use if you never implement it on a practical level in your life? So that's Vijnana. That means realization comes from activity. And then the last stage, Anandamoy, that's basically stage where you're already realized, you understand that Aham Brahmasmi, but Dasasmi. I'm of spiritual nature, but I'm a servant of Krishna. So that was a bit of that, and with connection with this so-called material science of Maslow. And Prabhupada goes very nicely. The Vedas prescribe therefore sacred marriage for regulated sense gratification. Thereby one is gradually elevated to the platform of release from material bondage, and the highest perfection of liberated life is to associate with the Supreme Lord. So what Prabhupada is doing here, that he's presenting in every single stage of our one's life, like either we are seekers for artha, kama, dharma, or moksha. Every single aspect is kind of pervaded, not pervaded, how do you say? Through every single aspect is some kind of something, some Krishna conscious implemented there. Obviously on dharma, artha, and kama, even to the sense of regulated sense gratification. All of us, we gave our vows for regulated principles and 16 rounds. Therefore, we are allowed to have that, those lovely samosas and that nice chutney and that those kachoris and that 9 p.m. sabji from the night offering. But obviously, it needs to be done regulated. So that's the whole principle of human life. And this regulation is based on understanding the position of the Supreme Lord and my individual position. So this whole verse is basically saying about how we should perform sacrifice or perform these austerities so we can be happy in this material world, or in this life, and what to speak about the next life. Ultimately, for devotees there, we strive to have not anymore, no next life, basically just finish this life and just go back to Godhead. So there Prabhupada writes, there are different grades of material comforts in different heavenly planets. And in all cases, there is immense happiness for persons engaged in different kinds of yajna. So there is some kind of a happiness in performances of yajnas and austerities. But ultimately, the highest goal is to satisfy Yajna Purush, or the one who's the ultimate enjoyer of all the yajnas, which is not the name for Krishna or Yagneshwara. But the highest kind of happiness that a man can achieve is to be promoted to the spiritual planets by practice of Krishna consciousness. A life of Krishna consciousness is therefore the solution to all the problems of material existence. So this is interesting. Once Prabhupada was asked a question, like, what is the practical application, or what is the practical outcome of you practicing Krishna consciousness for civilization at large? I'm paraphrasing. And Prabhupada basically explained that when these people, these mlechas and yavanas from West, so what they do now, they don't intoxicate, they don't eat meat, they are not woman hunters, they don't gamble, they're first-class citizens. So the modern society is constantly focusing on creating solutions for economical problems, agricultural problems, military problems, waste pollution problems, all these different problems. But here Prabhupada very nicely says, a life of Krishna consciousness is therefore the solution to all the problems of material existence. So you can either individually separate all these individual problems, as I mentioned, political problems, economical problems, and so on, social problems. Or if you just divert your attention towards spirituality, all these problems are actually considered to be secondary, and they will be fully resolved by focusing on the primary problems, which is your understanding of Krishna consciousness, or who you ultimately are, right? Let's make an example. If you become a devotee, you don't need to eat meat. If you don't need to eat meat, the amount of how do you say, like cows and sheep and all these different animals which on a regular basis are sent to slaughterhouses will naturally be reduced. And if they are reduced, that means there will be much more food available for those people, to the wider planet. It is said, I think this is in the Higher Taste book, that if America on its own just reduces by 10%, utilizing the fields to kind of bring crops which are fed to the animals, they can actually create a solution to the world hunger, just like that. So the fact that the world is overpopulated is actually completely nonsense. The world as such can facilitate much, much more people. But basically we are very bad in managing. This is actually just perfect sign of mismanagement. So any questions so far? Anything devotees would like to ask or comment, or anything they find interesting about this specific verse that they wish to share? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I was thinking before you go, if we could sing Damodarashtakam.
Okay, that starts, as I was mentioned, 8:40, no?
8. Yes, just, oh, you're leaving at 8:40, not 8:30. Oh, sorry, I mixed up my time. I thought you were leaving at 8:30.
Whatever time you want me to go, Mataji.
No. I misheard something. Sorry.
But now you have to ask a question. Since you made a comment, you have to ask a question or make a note about the verse.
Yes, Prabhuji. So, this whole month, I did the Damodarashtakam, the singing bhajan every day, and I did the ghee lamp every day as well. But I wanted to ask, if I want to continue this every day, then can I do it? Or is it just for the month of Kartik?
I don't see a reason why not to do it. I mean, we do it every day anyway, right? To be offering.
Yeah, I do my prayers and my I light the lamp, the ghee lamp as well every day. I do it, and the prasadam.
This is called dhupa, right?
Yes, but this month I did one extra lamp and the singing. So is that just for this 1 month Kartik, or we can do it all day, every day throughout the year?
I mean, you see, usually these festivals are connected to astrology. So there's a
Okay.
certain specific auspiciousness which is
Okay.
brought in some selected time frame. Like
Mhm.
usually it's from Purnima to Purnima, which means it's in the phase of the moon, basically 1 month. So it is said that in the specific time, there's how many times? 300 times or 1,000 times is all of your spiritual activities are magnified. So the aspect is limited by the auspiciousness of also of the stars and all the celestial objects. So
Yeah.
that's also that magnification.
Yeah.
That's by the mercy and blessings of the Supreme Lord.
Yes.
But if you desire to continue with this lovely habit, I don't see a reason why not. Krishna ultimately looks at your desire, your purity, and in the way to satisfy and please him. I mean, every day we offer Deepa, which is,
Yes.
lamps. So if you desire to continue, by all means. Who am
Okay.
I to say that you should stop?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Thank you. Any other points from devotees? Otherwise, I
Hare
was.
Krishna, Prabhuji. My Dandaval pranams, my humble obeisances. Just like Jyoti Mataji said, I was feeling that Damodar month is going to end, and I have to stop doing the prayers, which I love. The Damodar Ashtakam I love, the meaning I love. Damodar as well I love. So I was like feeling very sad, and I thought, until and unless I can, until and unless I feel like moving my Damodar deity upstairs and not worshipping, let me continue. Or I was thinking I'll ask somebody that whether I can do any other prayers every day so that I can get connected to Krishna in that personal level, because there's a very sweet pastime. Actually, Damodar pastime is so sweet. So you can just feel Krishna like Mother Yashoda is feeling. So I was feeling very like separation. So I was also thinking if I can continue doing the
Yeah, I
prayers.
mean, you see, all I can say is just if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, there's so many beautiful, heartfelt prayers by many different personalities. There's, Gopi Gita, and there's Venu. There are all these different beautiful songs and meditations which present Krishna from many, many different angles. Uh, I personally recite Brahma Samhita, which is my favorite one. Like those, Chintamani Prakara Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha Laksha Vriteshu Surabhira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrama Sevyamanam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami, and so on. So I personally like to recite these Brahma Samhita prayers. So you just find something, whatever you like, just find the prayer or learn the prayers of Queen Kunti. And these are also very, very beautiful and very powerful prayers, very personal as well. So yeah, and one point which I would like to suggest to all of you, since all of you been very, very eagerly and very wonderfully worshipping Lord Damodar, and ultimately Mother Yashoda bound Krishna with love, and she was trying to use all the help of the Vrijabasis. What's the best way to bound Lord Chaitanya? And I need your help for that. And Srila Prabhupada needs your help for that as well. So utilize all of that accumulated Shakti, all of that accumulated energy, which now you start and now you will be receiving, and try to give it to others as well. And that's why book distribution is very important. That's why sharing what you have is actually more important than accumulating what you have. Like, imagine that, right? Who of us will actually know anything about Bhagavad Gita, about Vrindavan, about Damodar, if Prabhupada haven't decided to leave Vrindavan, right? If Prabhupada was like, actually, I'm quite good here, I love Radha Damodar temple, it's so nice, people take care of me, I'm a happy life, I have good bhajan, the samadhis of six Goswamis right downstairs. I don't want to go, but he went. And based on his austerity, based on his sacrifice, all of us are sitting here now today and have an opportunity to chant Damodar Lila, or Damodar Ashtakam. So all I can say is Vaishnava is a person to, when he accumulates, that's even more opportunity for him to give. And when he gives, he accumulates. And then when he accumulates, he gives. And then when he gives, he accumulates. So there's a eternal samsara, eternal circle. So please consider yourself now. Take this book distribution.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. It's Live to Give seminar on Sunday as well.
Exactly.
So yeah, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other points from devotees? Otherwise, I can. Yes.
Sorry. Hare Krishna. Can I ask a question, please?
Please, by all means.
You said about different months, different prayers. How can I find what prayers are what for what month, and where can I get them, please?
That's a very good
For each month.
I wouldn't say there is any like specific prayers for each month, but what you can do, excuse me, you can just go through the calendar.
Or each planet, moon. Did you say about the planets, different planets from moon to moon? So different prayers.
Like all you can just do, just go to our devotional calendar, Vaishnava Bhaktivedanta Mala calendar, and let's just, just go what is next month, who is appearance day of next month, and have a look on, there are many different Vaishnavas, many different acharyas, our predecessors, many festivals. Like my Guru Maharaj, whenever there's Ramanavami, for 2 weeks, Maharaj watches all these Ramayan movies and reading all the Ramayan books and Ramayan commentaries and reciting prayers to Lord Ramachandra. So basically, it's an endeavor which is up to you. Actually, why not? It could be like a good book to put together, like a yearly book of prayers, right? Why not, right?
Yes, that's
like,
true.
Imagine like, okay, is appearance of Gaura Krishna Das Babaji what I'm going to do? Or you open a book, boom, boom, there's meditations of Gaura Krishna Das Babaji. Or wow, Narottam Das Thakur, beautiful Vaishnava poet in our Sampradaya. I want to recite some bhajans of his. Boom, you open a book and it is there. Oh, wow, Jamashtami is coming. Let me read something about appearances of Lord Krishna. So every single month for us, we are very lucky that we have all the time festivals. So open the calendar, see what is happening, what is coming, what significant is coming, which significant Vaishnava has an appearance day, and do a bit of a research and look into it. Look what he created and what he shared with people, and I guarantee your life will be full of it.
Thank you. I will do that. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Any other points from the devotees?
Prabhuji, just got one quick question. First of all, thank you so much for a wonderful lecture. When you started, Prabhuji, you mentioned that only in this planet is where we can accumulate karma, and the demon planets and the celestial planets is where you burn all the karmas.
Correct.
So Prabhuji, does that mean that celestial planets is above the earth? Yeah, because we're in the middle, if I remember it correctly. So why would you be burning your karmas in the celestial planets? Because I'm guessing that's the planets where we are much closer to Krishna. So why would you burn karmas there?
That's a very good question. You see, like here you can perform tapasya, here can you perform austerities and renunciation, and then you go there and in the higher planetary systems, you will be harvesting the result of your pious deeds, of your pious activities. Like, trust me, there are so many scriptures which are describing that, how the celestial regions are absolutely beautiful. Like the cutlery there is just, everything is made out of gold. Your room is just bedecked with jewels and diamonds, and everyone is beautiful and good looking, and everyone can sing and dance, and you eat only the first class food. So basically the standard of the life is very, very high there. But yes, on the same time, you're also very close to Krishna. So that opportunity is which comes with the punya which you receive, with the piety that you received. There's also like a divya chakshush, which is divine vision which you receive. And Krishna, because you are also on a higher level of purity and divinity, Krishna is more likely to also to reciprocate with you and to kind of deal with you. But Lord Chaitanya is so merciful that he appeared in the Zayd of Kali, and he didn't make any discrimination between punya and papa, between piety and sin. He just like, okay, take it anyway. Like, you don't like me, no problem. Just chant Hare Krishna. So this is very important fact for us that yes, you are burning karma of the higher celestial regions, but same time you have greater opportunities to perceive the beautiful pastimes of Krishna. Like, for instance, like, okay, let's look at Brahma. In Brahma Vimohan Lila, Brahma is the highest personality in this cosmos, right? The guy with 4 heads, biggest, his body is made out of pure intelligence. And even yet, he fell to kind of see Krishna as the Supreme Lord, because his concept was so much tinged with all in reverence, with Aishwarya Bhav, that he was like, this person, this little blue cowherd boy eating with the left hand, that's so unclean, you like used left hand for, not like eating. And Krishna was holding this rice and yogurt in left hand. It's like, he can't be God. My God is massive, beautiful, so many jewels. He has a beautiful crown. So his concept of God was Aishwarya, which means all in reverence. And he couldn't accept that Krishna, this little cowherd boy, he's got hair full of dust, and his body is kind of he fell a few times in the cow dung or something, and how can he be God? He can't be God. So he tried to test him. So sometimes the demigods, they also have this sort of conception that for them is also could be difficult and challenging to, for instance, accept Lord Chaitanya, or even to accept Krishna as be the Supreme Lord. Because if you think about it, the topmost 2 representatives of the celestial regions, Brahma, Indra, how many times they've done boo-boo, towards Krishna. So does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, dear Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, either one last question or the program is up to you. Now the Damodar Ashtakam starts. So,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, before you go, because you're the host, if you leave, our session might end. Would you please make me the host?
okay.
And could you please stay for Damodar Ashtakam with us?
I'm waking up 2:45 tomorrow, 2:45.
Oh, okay.
I have to really, really seriously go. Not like I don't want to stay.
Yeah, okay, no worries.
So let me make a host.
Yeah, Devika. Yes, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Lovely class today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tolerating me, dear devotees. I'm always happy and always privileged to share some thoughts with you. Please forgive me if I said anything which is incorrect. I'm very fallible in my activities, but that only shows how nice devotees you are. And there was one last thing. What karma decides the type of body we get in next life, and what karma decides which plane we are born in? That's a very good question. Well, I don't know. That depends on you. Whatever choices you're making in your life, that's what determines your karma, which means whatever level of consciousness you develop in this life, that's what predetermines your next life karma, or next life body. If you have a consciousness of a hawk, well, that's your destination. But if you have a celestial consciousness, very pure, very kind, very loving, full of piety, then you might end up in the heavenly regions. But if you just stick with devotional service, come see Radha Gokulananda, offer prayers, eat some prasadam, chant with devotees, dance, distribute Prabhupada's books, that's very important, then you just might appear in Mayapur Dham, or Goloka Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
All the Vaishnavas, I will take your leave now, and I'm very happy that you finished your run.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Come again.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Wonderful Thank class. you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the
Hare
wonderful
Krishna.
Okay, Harsha Mataji, are you ready to sing the Damodar Ashtakam? And Jyoti Mataji, after that, if you could do the recitation, the translation, please. Thank you.
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, can everyone see my screen now?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you.
Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasakundalam Gokule Prachamanam Yashoda Bilukantatvatmamanam Param Rishtamatyantato Dhritakupya Rudantam Murnetram Yugmam Prachantam Karam Bhojayugmena Satankanetram Muhuswasakam Patrireka Kakanta Stitagrim Damodaram Bhaktipadam Iti draswalilapi anandakunde Swagosham nimachantam akhyapayantam Tadishitaneshu bhakti chitatvam Puna premat tastam satavriti vande Varam deva moksham na moksham vadim va na chanya vreneham rasada apiya idam deva purnata gopala balam sada me manasya virashtam kim anye idam te mukham bhojam atyanta nile Pritam kuntale snigdha raktascha gopya Muhuschumbitam bimba raktadaram me Manasya virashta lakshalabhe Namo devatamota ananta vishnu Prashida prabhu dukkha chalati magnam Kripa drishti vrishyati dinam bandhanu Kranesha mamagnamadaksha trishya Kuveratmajopata murtya payatva Tvaya muchita bhakti pachokrita cha Tata prema bhaktim swakam me prayacha Namokshe gramostiti namodareha Namaste stutamne spuratipidamne Tvadiyodarayata vishwashitamne Namo radhikaya tvadiya priyaya Namo nandalilaya devaya tubhyam Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasakundalam Gokule Prachamana Yashodabayulukaladvamanam Param Rishtamatyantato Gritagopya Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Shri Radhe Jaya Yashoda Damodar Yashoda Damodar Yashoda Damodar Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Shri Radhe
Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. 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 Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Nitya Gauri, Jaya Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Srila Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Gaura Premananda Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. To the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss, whose shark-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokul, who I, due to the offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning into butter and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from a swing, is quickly running from the wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda, but who has been caught from behind by her, who ran after him with greater speed to that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodara, I offer my humble obeisances. Seeing the whipping stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord, Sri Damodara, whose belly is bound not with ropes but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances. By such childhood pastimes as this, he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokul in pools of ecstasy and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence that he is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my obeisances to Lord Damodara hundreds and hundreds of times. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the 9 processes of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Bal Gopal in Vrindavan may ever be manifest in my heart. For what is the use of me of any other boon besides this? O Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair, tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda. Your lips are reddish like the bimba fruit. May this beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are of no use to me. O Supreme Godhead, I offer my obeisances unto you, O Damodara, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O my Lord. Be pleased upon me by showering your glance of mercy upon me. Deliver this poor ignorant fool who is immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes. O Lord Damodara, just as the 2 sons of Kuvera, Manigriva and Nalakuvara, were delivered from the curse of Narada and made into great devotees by you in your form as a baby, tied with rope to a wooden grinding mortar. In the same way, please give me your own Prema Bhakti. I only long for this and have no desire for any kind of liberation. O Lord Damodara, I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent rope which binds your belly. I then offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani. I offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord, who displays unlimited pastimes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, very nicely recited, Jyoti Mataji, and beautiful singing by Harsha Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
So does anyone have any final comments before we close the session? Okay, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yay.
Gaura
Hare Krishna.
Premanande.
Hare
Hare
Bol.
Hare.
Hare
Bol,
Krishna.
Hari Bol.
All
Krishna.
glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.